There is a man sitting in a jail cell in California right now. His name is Derrick Callella. He is 42 years old. He lives in Hawthorne. And 3 weeks ago, while an 84-year-old woman was missing, possibly dying, he texted her daughter's phone number and typed, "Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction." He got her family's contact information from a website. He admitted it to the FBI. He told them he just wanted to see if the family would respond. That is the reality of what has happened to the Nancy Guthrie case on the internet. This is not a video about whether Nancy is alive. This is not about the DNA, the pacemaker, or the masked man on the doorbell camera. We have covered all of that. This video is about something different, and honestly, something more disturbing in its own way. This is about what the internet did to this case, what TikTok did, what X did, what Reddit did, what YouTube did, what podcasters, influencers, armchair detectives, and flat-out grifters did to a real kidnapping of a real woman while her real family sat at home, terrified, waiting for their phone to ring. And here is what makes it even worse. Law enforcement says it is actively damaging the investigation. Let's start from the beginning. Nancy Guthrie disappeared on February 1st, 2026. Within 48 hours, not days, not weeks, 48 hours, the internet had already decided who did it. Not one person, multiple people. All of them wrong, all of them named publicly, all of them targeted. The first wave of theories hit Reddit and TikTok simultaneously. The most viral one, the drug cartel theory. The logic, and I am being generous by calling it logic, was simple. Nancy's home is approximately 70 miles from the Mexican border. Tucson is in the southwest, therefore cartel. That was it. That was the entire case, 70 miles from the border. Reddit threads ran for thousands of comments. TikTok videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views. People in the comments were absolutely certain. No evidence. No specific cartel named. No motive explained. Just geographic proximity and a whole lot of confidence. But here is where it gets serious. While the cartel theory was racking up views, a second theory was gaining traction, and this one had a name attached to it. Ashleigh Banfield, a journalist with her own YouTube podcast, went on air and reported that a family member, specifically an insider, told her, a relative of Nancy Guthrie, was being eyed by police as a suspect. She did not name the person directly on that episode, but the internet did not need her to. Within hours, people on X, Reddit, and YouTube had named Savannah Guthrie's son-in-law by name. They posted his face. They posted his address. They called him a murderer. They called him a kidnapper. They flooded social media with his photo. The Pima County Sheriff's Department had to put out an emergency statement, not a press conference about the investigation. An emergency statement to tell the internet to stop. On February 16th, Sheriff Chris Nanos announced that the entire Guthrie family, every sibling, every spouse, had been fully cleared. He said, and I am paraphrasing, that the family had been nothing but cooperative and that they were victims in this case. Victims. While people online were calling them murderers, Ashleigh Banfield's source was wrong. Her report was wrong. And an innocent person had their name attached to a kidnapping case across millions of social media posts. That is what happens when engagement is more valuable than accuracy. And then came the disgruntled staff member theory. This one was quieter but still spread widely. The reasoning: Nancy lived alone, had household help, a staff member would know the house layout, would know her schedule, would have access. Therefore, probably the maid or the gardener. Again, no evidence. No names, thankfully. But the theory spread across true crime Facebook groups and Reddit threads as if it were established fact. But none of these theories, none of them, prepared anyone for what happened next. On January 30th, 2026, 2 days before Nancy Guthrie disappeared, the Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of files related to Jeffrey Epstein. 3 million pages, and Savannah Guthrie's name appeared in 2 of them, related to her reporting on the case for the Today Show. Just journalism, nothing more. But an account on X, a person who describes himself as a spiritual practitioner, not a reporter, put two and two together and got 500. He posted that Savannah Guthrie's husband, Michael Feldman, was listed as a co-conspirator in the Epstein files because his company, FGS Global, was mentioned. The post got over 1 million views. 1 million. Within 24 hours, it was everywhere. The actual truth, FGS Global is not in the Epstein files at all. Not once. What is mentioned, twice, in entirely unrelated context, is a previous company called the Glover Park Group, which Feldman co-founded in 2001 before it merged into FGS Global in 2021. The two mentions of Glover Park Group in the Epstein files, one is about lobbying work in Egypt. One is a suggestion from Larry Summers that Epstein contact a Glover Park co-founder about something unrelated to Feldman entirely. PolitiFact fact-checked it. PBS fact-checked it. Snopes fact-checked it. WRAL fact-checked it. Every single outlet rated it false, and yet the post still has over 1 million views, and the comments still say things like, "Now you understand why her mother was kidnapped." Think about that sentence. A man's elderly mother is missing, possibly dead, and people on the internet are saying this is somehow connected to a fabricated Epstein conspiracy that has been debunked by every major fact-checking organization in the country. And they are saying it to her face, on her Instagram, on her family's posts. And it gets worse, because some of this is not just random people. Some of it is organized content. Fast Company reported on February 18th that the hashtag Nancy Guthrie had already crossed 16,000 posts on TikTok alone. Influencers and true crime content creators were driving to Tucson, to her neighborhood, and live streaming themselves walking past her house. Some were analyzing freeze frames from the doorbell camera footage and identifying random men in their own communities as the suspect. Delivery drivers were questioned by police because someone online said they matched the footage. One man was briefly detained. He was innocent. Former Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Lieutenant Gil Carrillo said it plainly. Investigators have to take time away from the actual investigation to follow up on every single one of these tips. They cannot ignore them. Every theory, every false lead, every wild Reddit post that turns into a 911 call, it all has to be checked. Every single one. That is time, resources, and personnel that could be spent finding Nancy Guthrie. The Pima County Dispatch Manager, Cecilia Ochoa, went on television to beg people to stop calling. She said, and this is a quote from the Cold interview, dispatchers were fielding calls from people saying things like whether they thought the suspect was right-handed or left-handed, whether they thought it was a man or a woman, people calling 911 to share their opinions about a crime they watched on TikTok. For opinions. Ochoa said only actionable, credible tips should be called in. Not theories, not feelings, not tarot readings. Yes, tarot readings, because we have been here before. In 2022, when 4 University of Idaho students were murdered, a TikToker named Ashleigh Banfield identified a professor at the university as the killer. She named her. She repeated the claim at least 50 times on TikTok. She said she reached this conclusion through tarot card readings. The professor was innocent. Brian Koberger was later arrested, but the professor received death threats. She had to hire legal counsel. She issued cease and desist letters that Gaillard ignored. And Gaillard is still on TikTok today, still claiming Koberger didn't do it, still pulling in followers. That same energy is here now, in this case, right now. And there is something new this time that did not exist in 2022. Artificial intelligence. Researchers at Northeastern University published a warning during the second week of the investigation. AI deepfakes, fabricated videos, manipulated audio, could be used to send false proof of life to the family or to media. They could be used to generate fake ransom notes that sound more convincing than real ones. They could flood tip lines with AI-generated descriptions of vehicles, suspects, locations, all fabricated, all requiring investigation, all burning through law enforcement resources. The investigation is already fighting disinformation. Now it may have to fight synthetic disinformation too. And then there is the Derrick Callella situation, which we started with and which deserves more than a single paragraph. Callella did not just send a prank text. He sent it to Annie Guthrie, Nancy's oldest daughter, and to her husband Tommaso Cioni. He sent it moments after the family released their first emotional public video pleading for proof of life, the family's first public cry for help. And within hours, a man in California was texting them pretending to be the kidnapper, asking if they got the Bitcoin. When the FBI arrested him, he said he just wanted to see if the family would respond. He wanted to see if the family would respond. While their mother was missing, while they were posting videos with tears on their faces, while they were begging for a sign that she was alive, the U.S. Attorney Timothy Corshane called people like this grief profiteers. He said the Department of Justice would hold them accountable. Callella was charged with 2 federal crimes. He was released on conditions: electronic monitoring, no contact with the family. As of this recording, his case is ongoing. So where does that leave us? The investigation is in its 21st day. Over $200,000 in rewards are now available. $100,000 from the FBI, and separately $102,500 through the 88 crime tip line after an anonymous donor contributed $100,000. Over 55,000 tips have been received total. And yet investigators say they still do not have a leading suspect. Some experts, serious ones, not TikTokers, have raised real questions. Veteran homicide investigator Paul Ciolino said he is skeptical this was a traditional kidnapping. His reasoning: no verified proof of life, no photograph, no video, no lock of hair, nothing that confirms she is alive and in someone's custody. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker said on Fox News that he too is skeptical of the kidnapping framing. But other experts push back. DNA has been recovered from a glove 2 miles away and separately from inside the house. Genetic genealogy is underway, the same method that caught Brian Koberger in Idaho, the same method that caught the Golden State Killer after 40 years. Investigators are not ruling anything out. They say there are a myriad of theories being actively worked. And here is the thing. Here is the uncomfortable truth about all of this. The internet's obsession with this case is not entirely wrong. Public attention has helped before. In the Gabby Petito case, YouTubers who had recorded footage of Petito on the road came forward after seeing her case go viral. That footage helped investigators piece together her final movements. Public pressure has opened investigative resources before. Awareness matters. But awareness and reckless accusation are 2 different things. Sharing the FBI tip line is awareness. Naming an innocent person as a murderer to your 400,000 TikTok followers is reckless accusation. There is a line. And in this case, that line has been crossed so many times that law enforcement is now spending more time managing the internet than they are able to devote fully to finding an 84-year-old woman who may be running out of time. If you have information, real information, the FBI number is 1-800-CALL-FBI. The reward is over $200,000. If you saw something, if you know something, if you recognize the suspect from the doorbell footage, if you sold that Ozark Trail backpack to someone who matches the description, call. That call could save her life. But if you have a theory from a Reddit thread, close Reddit. If you have a TikTok opinion, keep it to yourself. If you have an Epstein connection that 3 fact-checkers have rated false, delete the post. Because somewhere out there, an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker and a family that loves her desperately is waiting to be found. And every minute spent chasing internet conspiracy theories is a minute not spent finding her. Call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Share the footage. Share the reward. Share the facts. That is all.